Welcome to Rhythm, a podcast on being in balance through conversations with the Swami. Namaste, Rhythm listeners. My name is Sunil. I'm with Swami Tadananda from the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center of Auckland, New Zealand. How are you, Swamiji?
I'm very good, Sunil. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. In the last session, we talked about advanced meditation and the different techniques and the importance of it to us. And we also touched on education, but we didn't go into too much depth in the last episode. What we should do is probably discuss that a bit more in the sense of, are we getting from our education system a fully rounded education, or are we just producing or churning out very technical people that are very good at one discipline, but not fully rounded individuals? So when things happen in their life, they're not quite ready for things. Shall we talk about that today?
I think that's a good idea. And it sort of goes back, Sunil, to the first episode when we talked about the total human being. And we mentioned, if you remember, the 5 dimensions, the physical body. And then we talked in the mind, we are an emotional being, an intellectual being, a moral and ethical being, and fundamentally we all are a spiritual being. And so any good education system should nurture all those dimensions, comprehensively and holistically, because we are not just one slice of the total being. And if we do not, education system or parenting does not nurture all the dimensions, then our development is a bit stunted and lopsided, you might say. Yeah. And there will be some weak points in there, vulnerable points.
Yes.
Yeah. So, for example, I think many people would agree that there's no systematic training for the emotional component of our being.
Yes.
So if you have a very loving, caring family in that environment, where empathy, kindness, compassion, sharing, caring is all cultivated, then those faculties develop in the heart of that person. And later in life, he will be sharing that with his family members, colleagues, workers, community. But if that is not nurtured, and the parents were just so focused on preparing a professional, like let there be only a doctor or engineer, and all the coaching and the training and the pressure is on there. Emotionally has been a very cold family, then that person's emotional development is stunted. And when in life, when those type of challenges come, they do not know what to do, how to handle, and many times they might make a wrong decision and lose everything. And if you reflect and look around the society, we see a lot of casualties around there who have been hit by the road of emotional train or something. So I think we have to understand about education, holistic education, what it is, and then and hopefully that will help parents and teachers and people who are involved in the field of education to have a more comprehensive, holistic understanding of things. I think it's important.
Yes. Yeah, we see in a society, right, where there's really successful, if you say successful in the sense of wealth and income, families.
Promotions.
But yes, name and fame. But then in terms of families and children and so on, they're not that connected, or they're almost broken, because they haven't had the fully rounded education. So how can meditation be linked to this? Is there a link? Is that something that we can use to help ourselves?
So everything works in a particular framework. And when we talk about meditation, definitely we understand, or we should understand that we are incorporating the spiritual framework into who we are. I think if we take that part out, then meditation is of no value other than just making you feel a little calm and peaceful for the time being, but it doesn't have any greater utility and value to it. So I think every time if we sort of refer to this total personality, the total being, and of those 5 layers that we talked about, the grossest is the physical, then within the mind space we've got the intellectual, emotional, and ethical, and finally the spiritual. The spiritual is the foundation. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. That spirituality has been covered by a layer of the mind, subtle layer, and then has been put another layer, which is the physical body. But the power and the energy, intelligence, consciousness has its roots in the foundation of the pure consciousness that we are. And the more of that light shines through and expresses itself through the mental activities and through the physical activities, and that's how we interact with others there, the better we are. And if the light is not able to percolate through because, it's a bit cloudy, it's very confused, the water is very turbulent, muddy, even though it's present equally in everyone, its manifestation is more or less, then that person is deprived of that wonderful power that's within them, and so poor in that self-poor, you might say. And then they interact with the world with a little dim bulb, not a bright shining light. So I think meditation is the tool. It's about first understanding that power is present in all of us, acknowledging. It's about understanding what is the nature of that power. It's not that we are born with defects and limitations and all those type of things. Deep inside, we are one with that infinite divinity. The wave is one with that ocean. And that identity we talked about. I am a spiritual being, pure, perfect, eternal, immortal, omniscient, omnipresent, full of bliss, full of purity, beauty, goodness. Again and again, we have to keep on telling that truth to ourselves. The other truth that I am a person with this personality, individuality, this is my body, this is mine, this is a temporary mask we have put on that we'll discard at some point. So go back to the core and assert that. And the more we assert that, the more the sleeping soul will wake up. It's trying to wake up there. And education is that process by which we systematically make that awakening happen. So the definition of education, the 2 beautiful definitions given by Swami Vivekananda, and today we can discuss them. One of them is education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. So it's already there. It's not that knowledge has to be transferred from the textbook into the mind of the student. It's not that it's from the teacher into the student. No, that would be a wrong understanding according to our Vedanta. The mind is not an empty bucket that you are filling with water, putting information, knowledge in there, and then testing out how much has been contained in there. It should be looked upon as like a spring coming from the bowels of earth. Maybe some rocks and stones are blocking it. The task of the teacher or parent is to help remove that, and the water gushes out. So inside all, and according to the understanding, the approach will be totally different, isn't it?
It's very different.
And so the Western education system is all about so much information that is there with outside. And there are these courses and subjects and levels as we go through the school, and each one thinks, I am the teacher. I'm the teacher, I have the knowledge, and I'm going to deliver the information. The child is going to take it and replicate it and will program the child, and later on he'll become a doctor, teacher, engineer, whatever, and serve the society in that way. That is a very, very poor, incorrect understanding of what we are and what education is according to Vedanta. Vedanta says the soul is omniscient, all-knowing, infinite knowledge, akhand sat chit ananda, infinite existence, knowledge, bliss. That is the divine birthright of each and everyone. But then all are not manifesting that in the same measure. Somewhere you find that power is shining more, and you say that's one brilliant person, genius, whatever I say. In others, it is equally present, but not shining so much. And so a good example maybe to illustrate is in your house, you have got a power supply that's connected to the grid. Or getting the same 240 volt. But as it flows through different light bulbs, and you might have a 40-watt bulb, 60-watt bulb, 100-watt bulb. Each bulb is manifesting that light in different measure. That capacity of the bulb, the same current flows or power flows, voltage, but the capacity to manifest varies from bulb to bulb to bulb. So likewise, in all of us, we are waves behind the same ocean. The same one ocean is behind there. That same omniscient divine being whom we call God resides in our own heart. But the manifestation of his power varies from different people, and depending on the purity of the mind and the channel through which it can flow. So education is then, let's look at the definition again. It is the manifestation of perfection already in men. At the spiritual dimension, we are all perfect, pure, all knowing. But the training by which the mind is then allowed to let more of that light shines through is real education. So you can see it's nothing to do with the information, book, knowledge and all those things. It's not teaching the various ways of manipulating information and knowledge as if it's coming from outside. It's understanding that knowledge is inherent, the inherent nature of our being, and it's about training the mind to let that light shine through. So first thing is then, first you have to acknowledge that light is there. Second, how do I connect it? So there's power in the grid, but if you're not connected to the grid, your house is in darkness. Okay. So meditation is about bridging that link. And so you can see the utility of that approach there. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, if I had the essence of all education is concentration of the mind. Right. And he said, if I had an opportunity to have my education again and had any say in the matter, I would not go and read the books as the first thing. I would first learn how to master the concentration of mind. Right. And then with that concentrated mind, I could learn everything so quickly.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. So instead of getting knowledge first, you try and train your mind so that it becomes really good at concentration, which is when the things like discipline and willpower, all of these things are more important in the early stages, cultivating all of that so that your mind can become very good at concentrating on things. So learn that first, and then you go and read the books, because then you'll pick up things really quickly.
So here's a principle of life. It's not about education just from childhood in the education system. Education is a constant process throughout your life.
Yeah, you keep learning every day.
Every day. So if we say we are students, okay, and I'm going to, until high school or university, my education was dictated by the system. But now I'm going to take control of my education. So let us say I'm still a student, learner. And so what is education then? And we said, okay, this is about manifestation of perfection already in man. Let's discuss that a little bit more. Here's a principle that anyone can apply, even in life. The secret of success in anything, whatever undertaking, at work, in business, whatever, in conversation, whatever, is the ability to concentrate the whole focus or energy on a singular point. That's how nature functions. And we've discussed this earlier, how nature can take a very vague light and then the eyes will concentrate it on the optic nerve and you can see. And if it cannot do that, it's out of focus, then everything becomes hazy, you see. Ear is there to capture sound waves and channelize it down to the eardrum. So you'll see it's all about concentration of energy. We are surrounded by energy, light energy, heat energy, sound energy. It's all energy. Mind is also a form of energy. And if that energy is scattered in all directions, then you don't have the full impact of it. Like in a dark room, you can take a torch or a candle and light it around. It just shines and illuminates a very small space. You have to really come very close to the candle to read something. You can't read anything with that light 5 meters away. Or a small torch bulb without the focusing element. But the moment we put the focusing element, all that light becomes channelized as a strong beam. Not that more light was brought in. It's the same bulb. What's the difference is that light has been concentrated. And now with the torchlight, you can see something 5 meters away. So here again is an illustration about concentration of energy. Sunlight, we talked about how a magnifying glass can concentrate it on a focal point, and that can ignite a piece of wood or a piece of paper. So again, concentration of energy. So visualize mind as energy. Right. Okay, and then energy, mental energy can be all very scattered in all directions like a candlelight, or it can be very focused. And those people who have trained themselves to develop this capacity to focus that mind. This is where the great scientists, researchers, thinkers, explorers, people who have really come up with some brilliant ideas, they had this wonderful capacity, ability to concentrate that mind. And so the real training then, education should be, or the first and foremost thing, like Swami Vivekananda says, is teach them concentration of mind. Yeah. And meditation is about developing that capacity. So in this analogy, you might say, there's a light from within, but I want to focus it. Just like sunlight is there, but tell me where's the magnifying glass, which will focus it in a focal point, and then I can direct that mental energy on the subject matter I want to study. Yes. How without that magnifying glass, so to say, focusing, you can't, and that light is not coming under your control. And that is where this buddhi thing comes. Okay. Buddhi is the spiritual intelligence that which can intensify the mental energy, the energy from inside. But when it comes into the mind space, we call it mental energy. When it's in its original source, we call it spiritual energy. By the time it comes to the physical body, then we can say physical energy, muscular energy, But it's all energy in different forms. And a person who has trained himself to have good connection to the original source, and then has trained this buddhi or the intellect, the magnifying glass, so to say, to focus the light into the mind space, and then you can see the magic. That's when the magic happens. That's when the piece of paper gets ignited, and you get wow effect. It's a brilliant idea. Those are the people who really make a difference anywhere. Yeah. If you had a big organization and had 2 people like that who can come up with some brilliant idea every now and then, rather than others who mechanically follow the same process and follow the manual and what is the procedure and say we're ticking all the boxes. Anyone can do that. You can program a robot like that. But the people that you really need in your board and decision-making people are those creative people who can think outside the box, who can throw some new light into, create a new way of doing things. And they are the real assets, isn't it? So we have to train those people. We have to produce such people through our education system. And if the education system just churns out robotic type of people, engineers, doctors, nurses, teachers who just simply go and slot into the society and say 50, 70, 30 years, and then we say, okay, expiry date. That type of society, it doesn't grow. It doesn't evolve. It doesn't have any adaptability and things like that. But a society where the education system cultivates that mind, through the education system, and a person can churn out wonderful ideas, even 3-4 new unique ideas in their lifetime. And imagine a whole society of people are producing such things. A country where there's entrepreneurs are the original startups. They are the people who actually drive the world. They are the ones who are bringing in change. But the secret is, if the proper education is not given, then it is you've lost that opportunity. And most of the time, in the name of good education system, where some curriculum designers at the Ministry of Education decide what should be in the textbook, or the teachers decide how it should be taught and how it should be tested, and then you grade people and tick them off, say these are brilliant toppers and whatever you say. That type of, I think it's a dead system, But on the other side, what Vedanta says, first help people develop that concentration of mind. And you might say, was it ever done? Of course it was done. Look at the old Vedic method of teaching, where in the Gurukul, in the traditional school system, the teacher would teach the children meditation. At the age of 7, you'll be given this Gayatri mantra. The mantra is a form of a concentrator of energy, so to say. You use that and keep your mind in the same loop, and you develop the capacity to hold it there. That's harnessing the power. And you do that initiated in the Gayatri mantra at the age of 7, and you just do the process, and the teacher will then, by the time they come to say end of primary school or something like that, they have got that sharp tool. And they used to learn all the subject matter so easily, so quickly, because they have that power of elimination. Yeah. So education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. Couple of ideas. It's already there. No one is going to give something new to you. What the teacher or the parent at best can do is be the facilitator. But they must know and respect the individual, that there's a little child there. He's not ignorant. He's got all the knowledge. My job is to help that child manifest that. And I'll approach that with due reverence and respect. And it's a privilege and opportunity to be of service to this growing individual. In 15, 20 years, he'll be a young man or woman out there, shining, doing all the things. Okay, they have that potentially already there. I can help. That way, if I know what to do, I can stimulate that type of originality, creativity. You see, every child has got this tremendous desire and search for knowledge. It's asking the parents, what is this? Why is this? How is this? Such hunger for knowledge. But as we go through our education system, which says you are supposed to know this much by this grade and this much by the time you complete this year, and that's it. Now you have become a doctor. No more studying anymore. You have become an engineer. That's it. Education is complete. Go and work. And then all that questioning has also died. Maybe the questions are coming in the mind, but you're not going around and asking people, hey, what's this? Maybe you feel, hi, why should I ask? I'm a graduate, I'm supposed to know everything. It's embarrassing. Yeah. See, that ego comes in there, and that learning process dies out.
Yeah.
See.
And any feedback from others on your performance is not taken well. Like, oh,
who are you still asking?
Who are you to tell me as well? Because I've got ego now, right? Because I've studied. So if there's others that are trying to tell you as well, like, oh, no.
And the humility that I do not know goes away. See, a learner should be vinaya, humble. You should be able to, have no problems about saying, I do not know this. If you don't have that, education stops, learning stops. But what's wrong with that? If you do not know, then you'll be a better person by asking somebody, rather than pretending, I know everything and not living in blissful ignorance. You see how the mind, the education system puts us into a sort of a complex where it kills the learning process.
Yes. That's all you need to know. That's it.
Yes.
After that, there's no more learning.
Yeah, it's just that hunger, that learning process. No, how do we have like Sri Ramakrishna says, Javat bachi tavat sikhi. As long as I live, so long do I learn. You see, that spirit should be there. That's right. Anyway, that is a little bit of critique to the education system there. But I would like to discuss another definition, maybe in the next episode, which I think is more related to the subject matter of meditation and in a more positive way, what it is. We have criticized what it should not be. Okay, and that definition is the training by which the current and expression of will is brought under control and made fruitful is education. Every word of that sentence is very, very deep with meaning.
Controlling the will.
Yeah, there's a willpower in all of us, I will do this, I will do that type of thing. But it's not under much control. It's not, and therefore, it's not been trained that we have mastery over the will. It could be instinctive, it could be whimsical, it can attempt something and very easily give up, as too hard, all those things, and much depends on life, how strong your willpower is, Great people had tremendous willpower, resolute mind. They made a decision and they walked on it until, and others are there, a little bit of difficulty comes and they said, oh no, this is too much. So the real education is about training that willpower. And let's do that in another episode.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. That was very enlightening on education and looking at it from a different lens, looking more from a fully rounded perspective rather than just a very technical way. Thank you. So we'll catch up again at our next episode.
Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you for listening. Being in balance, rhythm. For more information, please visit www.vedanta.nz.